What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and I have a very special interview for you today. Something that really just kind of manifested itself out of a video about a really awesome Kickstarter. But yeah, I'm here to talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG. And I have two wonderful gentlemen here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, who are basically the ones making this even be possible. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
I'm Kevin Sabita. I'm the founder and publisher of Palladium Books. I'm also the company's chief game designer. And we published TMNT back in 1985, and we're doing it again.
Yep. And I'm Sean Owen Robertson. I'm Kevin's business partner. I've been working in the industry on a few different things. And um, one of the first things that I wanted to do when I joined Kevin at Palladium was we started talking about bringing this back and making it happen. And it's been a couple of years, but we've gotten all our ducks in a row, and it's the impossible is happening, and the fans are making it blow up even more. So we're really excited.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess, obviously a lot of people know other RPGs really well, but Palladium Books is obviously, we talked about 1985 for this RPG, but Palladium's been around for a while. For people who may be unfamiliar, why don't we get just a little bit of history about Palladium and kind of what's happened over the years?
I started out, like most people, I discovered D&D, and I started running a game at the Detroit Gaming Center, and it was very popular. And I started to tweak the rules, and created my own world. And my 26 regular players were like, "This is great. This isn't D&D anymore. You should see if someone will publish it." Well, no one wanted to publish it except Judges Guild, and they offered me pennies. So I was like, I'm not going to give my game away. And then my guys were like, "But you've had some publishing experience, Kev. You need to publish this yourself." And I'm like, "No." And I came out with the Mechanoid Invasion was my first game because I couldn't afford to do Palladium Fantasy the way I really wanted to do it, as one big softcover book. And it did reasonably well. And our first like secret hit was the Weapons and Armor series, because this is before the days of computers. So when people said, "What's a halberd?" or
Mm.
what's a pole arm or a pole axe?" No one knew. And we came out with this book with 700 weapons,
Historical.
and it all historically accurate, all clearly illustrated. And that was our like little quiet hit. And then I came out with Palladium Fantasy and Heroes Unlimited, and I was a comic book guy. This was all supposed to be temporary for me, role playing, until I broke into the comic book business. And so I'm reading comics, and I hear about TMNT, and I read the second issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, man, this is great. This would make a great role playing game if they would let me produce a game that where you could create any kind of mutant animal. And I reached out to the guys. They said, sure. We hit it off. We produced that. The next year, we came out with Robotech, the RPG. That was our next big hit. And then we came out with Ninjas and Super Spies. We came out with Beyond the Supernatural. And then our big hit was Rifts.
Hmm.
And then, we've been producing games for 42 years.
So
I love it.
and you really haven't stopped in that time for people, because people, there's obviously been rise and falls of different companies over the years. So you guys have been kind of, even if I don't say behind the scenes, but chugging away at new stuff pretty consistently.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And we're really known for our depth of lore and our world building. In fact, I was flattered when the Blizzard people had me come to their campus and talk to their people about world building. That was amazing. That
Oh,
happened in
very cool.
2010. And yeah, it's I like I said, I love it, and I'm gonna keep designing games until I can't.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, yeah, Sean, we got Kevin's kind of history obviously there. What about you yourself? How did you get involved in games and Palladium and everything?
Well, funny thing enough, actually, I had played, so I was really into like BattleTech and when I was a kid, and then I I had played some Dungeons and Dragons. My friends had it, and also some West End Star Wars.
Mm.
But then I was a big Ninja Turtles fan when I was a kid, and I kind of graduated from the cartoons to the graphic novels. My dad's best friend gave me a bunch of the graphic novels, and I was like, okay, this is really cool. It's Ninja Turtles, but it's bloody and there's violence, right? And then one of them I traded him for this copy
Uh,
of the role-playing game. And so I got in a little bit late, but it was funny because it was perfect timing for me. Um, I kind of graduated into role playing, and it was the first RPG I ever personally owned. And so I started running that with my friends and my cousins, and and I never stopped playing Palladium after that. I got really into Ninjas and Super Spies, and it was great because we could do martial arts with the mutant animals.
sure.
I enjoyed some Heroes Unlimited, but I really got on the Rifts bandwagon and never really stopped. And in fact, after I went on and lived a, I don't know, normalish life, and I was in the U.S. military for a while. And after I got out, I went back to school and somehow fell into with the Savage Worlds guys, the Pinnacle
Mm.
Entertainment folks, really great guys and gals. And I worked on the Rifts for Savage Worlds series and did the second edition of books for those to bring them up to the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. Wrote a few more books there. I'm still the line editor for that product line, but that's how Kevin and I met.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Kevin was like, we started talking. I was going to start my own company. I actually incorporated it, and then Kevin surprised me one day with, well, Sean, I know you got all these plans, move overseas, and bootstrap your own company, and it all sounds really cool. But what about joining me here at Palladium as my business partner? I don't really have anybody to take the company forward into the future. So that's the short version of that story.
Yep.
And yeah, we've been having a lot of fun ever since. And really excited to do the Titan Robotics Kickstarter last year
Hmm.
and deliver that, and then and also write that half of that book, where the final version of it, and do a lot of art direction on that as well. And now we've been scheming behind the scenes for 9 months to make this Kickstarter happen. So we're almost 10 months. Yeah, we were really happy to be able to announce it October 13th and immediately hit the Kickstarter October 31st. So
Yeah, no, and I mean, it's obviously still going as of the time of this recording. So if you haven't, I'll have links in the description if people want to go check it out, because it's definitely, it is, I mean, again, we talked a little bit beforehand. If you would tell me in 2023 that I'd be seeing an update to a 1985 book that for most people, even being in the RPG scene, there's a ton of people who still weren't even aware that this was an RPG. And now it's getting updates and new content and rules tweaks. And then to see it take my favorite source books and bring them all together into 2 books. Because even one of my original videos, I was talking how excited I was about the different concepts and things that I like, and Truckin' Turtles and Turtles in Hollywood and all these adventures that I liked. And I was like, oh, and I'm speculating what would happen. And then to see literally everything I listed that I wanted to show up in this Kickstarter is phenomenal. Yeah.
and when we try to listen to the fans, people have been that's the number one thing we get asked about. I was getting asked about that before I ever joined Palladium.
Mm-hmm.
With my work on Rifts for Savage Worlds. And so with Kevin and I really wanted to collaborate, but also do something special and new with full color art,
Sure.
top notch, remaster it, update, right? As you said, we're updating the gear. We're up to modern equipment. We're adding some new mutant animals that have never before seen in any of our games. I'm doing a lot of edits and tweaks and clarifications,
Mm-hmm.
updating some of the game terms in the books, because it's things change over 40 years.
Sure, of course.
So some of the terms have become, some of the parlance has shifted a little bit, and that helps it keep it clear and fresh for all fans, old and new.
And part of it, Ted, is we ourselves are fans of the Ninja Turtles and of course of role playing. So we, as gamers ourselves, we know what fans want. So when we were putting this together, we're thinking, oh man, what would make me go wild? And it's like, oh got to get gorgeous miniatures.
Sure.
You want to have beautiful color art. Hey, what if we can get, 30 or 40 well-known comic book artists, especially TMNT creators, above and beyond Kevin and Peter.
Hmm.
And that's what you're getting. We're putting together what should be
Tribute,
beautiful
full page,
books.
full color tribute arts by pieces by all these different well-known RPG and TMNT comic artists, as well as tributes and written tributes, behind the scenes stuff people have never seen before.
Yeah.
It's really exciting, and we wanted to make sure we could bring back all the books. So there's no Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles source book that isn't coming back.
Sure.
So the first book is, it's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness, the Redux edition, but it has the original RPG plus Turtles Go Hollywood and Truckin' Turtles, as you just mentioned, two great adventure modules, and they're each 48 pages. So this is and the main book also has a lot of adventure material. So you're getting a ton of adventure content in that first book, and then the second book, we're calling it Transdimensional Adventures because it combines the classic transdimensional TMNT book with rules for time travel, magic, all that kind of stuff. And mutant dinosaurs with TMNT Adventures. That's the most popular adventure supplement, and the Guide to the Universe, which includes vehicle rules, spaceship combat, lots of the aliens and stuff for people that are familiar with like the Triceratrons and the Utrom. And all that kind of stuff. So we're super excited to be able to bring all of that as well, and negotiate a lot of cool stuff on top of that with our licensors. So we've got 2 miniature sets, a villain and a hero's miniature set.
Beautiful. Oh my God.
They're in progress. We're showing more off as we can. A lot of it's coming through the approvals now, which is really great. Because it's Nickelodeon is an officially licensed product. There's a lot of eyes that have to take a look at everything. Make sure it's good to go, and that's great because it's good for the legacy of the TMNT and the fans, everybody involved. And then we also have dice. We're working with Fanroll.
Fanroll's fantastic company.
Some beautiful dice sets, yes, and they're great people.
Sure, definitely.
All the way around, everyone's been really great to work with. But Fanroll's been awesome as well. So we've got resin dice for each of the turtles in a collector's type box, along with a dice bag with the turtles art on it in full color. And we have a set of aluminum dice for Shredder, which also looks awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
A dice tray with a sewer grate that looks really cool, and you can attach a dice tower with the new cover art, as well as a scrolling carrying case mat that looks like an old TCRI mutagen container.
There's so clearly so much fandom put into all of these little aspects, because it would have been easy to just throw a dice set, maybe a rolling tray, but the fact that everything is so particular and tied to the different aspects of the history of the turtles and the colorations of everything, it just it goes to show that these are obviously fans making things for fans with this Kickstarter, and that's really, what more could you ask for?
Well, we couldn't think of much more. When we talked to people, that there were a few things people mentioned. Everyone asked me, what about the Game Master screen? Because apparently a lot of people wanted it and never were able to get it. So we have some stuff working on that in the background, so that we can hopefully show that off soon. But we're going to do a modern style, Dungeons & Dragons style, with a good wide center and the height of a sheet of paper on the sides, right? With the original art by Kevin Eastman on the front, and the new book covers as side art,
because it was a wraparound to begin
with. So it looks really great on the front of the GM screen. And then we have mutagen green dice, liquid filled dice that we are looking forward to showing off soon in a test tube, TCRI test tube.
Very nice.
And, we're going to do a poker deck.
Poker deck. Yep.
Oh, okay.
That was.
Well, that's going to be one to reveal. I just realized I blew that. That's
and there was a lot of little things where there's different divisions within Paramount, Nickelodeon, right? And so, just so that fans understand, some of this stuff we didn't get the green light on until right before we signed
Yeah.
the contract. And so we didn't want to wait to launch this. It was really important to us and our licensors to launch this Kickstarter this year.
Mhm.
And but at the same time, that gave us a little bit of a short runway.
Yeah.
So hopefully fans can be patient with us. Another aspect that's really cool is that we have Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird doing new art
I know.
for
I'm
the
so
two
excited.
collectors foil covered edition foil editions.
Yeah. How
So
cool is that? I mean,
That's yeah.
so we knew Kev would be involved to some degree.
and he's been
And,
amazing.
and the thing is, you know, I knew the guys when they were just getting off the ground. So,
Mhm.
you know, we were friends for, you know, the first 10 years of their career. And we kind of lost touch. And, you know, I wasn't sure what to expect. But, you know, with Kev and Pete, it's like, you know, hey, glad to see you again, Kev. What can we do to help? You know, and they know how much we love the fans. They know how much the fans love these games.
Right. Well, and yeah, it's amazing. Kevin Eastman told us that every time he goes to signings, people bring up their
Mhm.
copies of the RPG books for him to sign. So, you know, 40 years later, the books have been out of print for decades, and people are still bringing them up for signing. And it's just a cultural phenomenon in a lot of ways as a subset of it.
Well, the books back then, you know, they straddled both fandoms, and
Mhm.
and when we're doing this Redux editions, we're doing the same thing. So comic book fans, like our game appeared in comic book stores, and a lot of
Sure.
comic book fans discovered our games.
That was
And
me.
yeah, Scott was one of them. And so these books are designed and not just with gamers in mind. It's not just game books, but they're the kind of thing that comic book fans should love.
Well, there's just each book has each of the two new books has I mean, this is original material that Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, Eastman and Laird, did, and other Mirage guys like Jim Lawson, they did original art for these books, including unique comic strips that you won't see anywhere else, including 30 plus mutant animals that they illustrated just for these games
back in the day.
in both books. Yeah, just back in the day. But
we're
now
getting
that's all
new
color
stuff.
colorized,
Yep.
and we're getting new stuff done as well. So it's super exciting.
Well, and
It's super exciting.
especially, I mean, Kevin and Peter are working together just like they did in the old days.
That's
to do
Kevin's
one's doing the
sketching,
pencils, one's doing the
pencils.
inks.
Yep.
Yeah,
Peter's doing the inks.
and they're gonna do the covers to the two
one of them
muted
is
in green foil editions.
yes, one of them is done, and then getting
very
the other
nice.
one's getting done this weekend. There's gonna be a pass on.
Yep.
So it's really exciting. We can't wait to show that off. Plus, Kevin Eastman insisted on painting a new cover, and
Yeah, I mean,
we weren't gonna tell him no.
no, of course
At first,
not.
I was like, Kev, we already have covers.
Yeah.
He's like, just that's okay.
Yeah.
So
No.
that's how we came out. We have two variant covers for the first and the second
Yeah.
book. Sophie Campbell also insisted, who's doing the current IDW Turtles,
Mhm.
insisted on doing a variant cover for the Transdimensional Adventure book, and Kevin Eastman is doing a new cover for the first book. Also, we had so many people say, "What about if I really like the because these books, the Turtles have the 4-color masks."
Sure.
But and we talked about that with Nickelodeon. That was the decision we all came to together. But you know, we like the red mask too, and
Sure.
and so a lot of people say, well, what if I want something that's like the old black and white? So we also have the black, white, and red editions that are coming. And
So good.
Jeremy Caldwell did took Freddie Williams's beautiful black and white art and did the black, white, and red covers that you can see on the Kickstarter page. And the interiors are going to be black and white with splashes of red for the masks or blood.
Yeah,
and,
I didn't need
like
2 copies or 3 different copies of these books, but now I'm gonna have to get them.
But that was the number one thing. We kept hearing that when we talked to the few people. I don't know how we kept this secret for 9 months.
Yeah.
We talked to select few people. It really was a test of their trust, right?
Sure.
We're like, you can't tell anybody, and so somehow they didn't. And but yeah, that was one of the things that kept coming up. So we decided, we really, because it is more expensive, right? It's because it's a completely different print run.
Sure.
Basically a completely different book, even though a lot of it's similar. But for all intents and purposes, but we thought it would be worth it, and the fans seem to agree. So
well, to that point, so if I'm a veteran and I know the book pretty well, I know we talked about tweaks and updates. If I were to look at this new book when I get it and do kind of a comparison to my original, how much am I like? How different are we talking as far as like mechanics and things contained within the book? How different is it?
So, I mean, it's the same basic characters. There are some stretch goals that we have, and we'll go ahead and give you a sneak preview.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have one of our next stretch goal to hit the $1 million mark, because we're over 800,000 already.
Mm-hmm.
Is Fugitoid, and
Ah,
so
very nice.
Fugitoid's stats will be added to the
Oh,
books.
okay, great.
And yeah, he appears in the comics and stuff, but the stats aren't in there. We don't have a full write up of him, and so also his miniature will be added to the miniature set for the heroes. But we're also going to be adding and announcing very soon, officially, but it looks like we're going to get Karai,
Oh,
daughter,
wow.
and yeah, with a new illustration by Kevin Eastman. So
God.
yeah, I know, but we're kind of evil, but those are some of the things that are going to be like really obvious.
Mm-hmm.
The thing
Well, and
is,
obviously the color too.
the
Sure.
color
The
is
color alone, I'll tell you, Ted, we got Mike Majestic, who most people probably haven't heard of, but he's done stuff in
Transformers,
in
and
the
youth
animated
industry, and
industry, in the comic
Mm.
book industry, in the gaming industry. We got Jeremy Caldwell doing stuff, and we got in
Luis Antonio Delgado, who did the colors for the
Oh,
last one, and he's also helping
oh
us
my
with
gosh,
I
it's
know.
with
all
Oh,
these
color
people
work.
are just amazing, and nobody's holding back. Everyone's pulling out all the
Yeah,
stops.
well, and
So the
that's
color alone makes them look
sure.
totally
yeah,
and
and
familiar, yet you're gonna like drool.
and the
It's
pages
beautiful.
have modern layout, so there's a different flow to the pages. I mean, I'm
Okay.
trying to say, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the originals, right? And I'm
Sure.
trying to say classic, but this is a new edition,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that you'll see that a lot of the maybe turns of phrase here and there have been updated,
Sure.
the glossary of terms, but it's the same classic Palladium gaming,
Okay.
but with some of it's clarifications on, hey, exactly how do we do, can you clarify this stuff for initiative, or can you
Hmm.
clarify what this bonus applies to,
Okay.
apply just to range attacks or melee attacks, little things like that, that we're going through and trying to make sure are as clear as ever, so that people can jump right in, have some fun. There are a few places where we've collected things like maybe, something was, a reference to some weapon proficiencies within the equipment section, and now that's moved
Mm.
over that to be a little more consolidated. But unless you go through with a fine tooth comb, I don't think you're gonna. The whole point is it shouldn't feel like something
Okay.
complete,
Yes,
right?
it should be familiar but elevated to new heights.
Just like it was funny, we had, just like with the cover art, that you can see on the Kickstarter and all the
Sure.
ads on. So there were a few fans that thought it was the same piece of art as this.
Just
It's
changed.
not,
Yeah.
but it's just that in their mind,
Hmm.
that's what it was, right? And so they immediately recognized it. And that's this. We have the same goal for the Redux Edition's text. Yeah.
Well, and that's one, I think that's good, because in a world of RPGs, right, editions are such, they could be a drastic change between
Oh
one
yeah,
edition to another. So
Yeah, this
knowing,
isn't some massive reboot.
and that's I think an important thing for people to understand, right? If you are steeped and knowledgeable about the way a Palladium RPG changes, just because this is coming out 40 years later doesn't mean that that knowledge is lost. You might
Right.
actually have an answer to that question you had in 1987 that you didn't
yes,
know how this
exactly.
applies. But
Yeah, and I'm cribbing notes from, the After the Bomb series, and some notes from, other popular game lines, just to make sure, okay, what's the clearest way to explain this? Because it's one thing, later, for instance, early on when there was the different hand-to-hand combat styles, it would just say, you know this many this is you get this bonus at this level, this bonus at this level. But now in the newer books, it says you have 2 actions to start, or 2 attacks,
okay,
right? Little things like that, so that it's just a little bit easier to understand when you dive in there. It's just a little more apparent. Instead of attacks per melee round, we're calling it actions per combat round, because just to make it a little easier and clearer for fans who are coming, especially ones that are coming to this fresh.
sure.
So they're not, because one of the questions that is often asked is, "Oh, is an attack? Can I do anything? Is that
Yeah.
It's modern parlance. It would be an action, right?
Right.
Melee round. Well, we're just called a combat round. Now everybody's up on their French. So just little things like that.
And then of course, what it's going to be completely different and new is the back quarter of the book, which will feature behind the scenes making of original pencil art that's never
Mm.
been seen
Oh,
before,
wow.
all the tribute art, the full page, gorgeous color art by everybody you can think of
Well,
practically.
we've kind of bowled over by the number of artists that, first we thought, oh, we'll get a, dozen and
Mm.
maybe slap some, do 2 pieces of art, one for each book. Oh man, we got what, almost 2.5 dozen now,
Oh yeah, we
Jeez.
got I think we're at 32 artists.
including
Oh,
Larry
wow.
Elmore, Bishop.
Wow, that's
It's
I would
like,
love. I'm
it's like
actually that's exciting to see what
yeah,
kind of stuff.
Kevin calls up Larry and they're talking, and he's like, I don't know, check with my wife because he doesn't do professional work anymore.
Yeah,
Sure.
Larry's
He
retired.
does stuff for himself,
Yeah.
and yeah, tell a story. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's I love Larry. We go way back. And so I call him up and we're just chit-chatting. And I'm like, so Larry, we're doing this book. I explain what we're doing. And I said, I would love to have you in here because you're a legend. And I know,
Mm.
that you're retired, but if it makes sense to you, if you want to do the art, we can have someone else color it if you want to do just the black and white. And he's like, well, let me think about it. I gotta talk to my wife, and it's the holidays. We got all kind of family here, Kev, and I, I would love to, but let me think about it. I'll call you tomorrow. And so tomorrow comes and he's like, yeah, we talked about it. And how can I say no to an old friend like you? And I'm like,
That's awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is fascinating. When it was so funny because a lot of these artists, when we were first talking to our friends, our liaison at Paramount Nickelodeon, we were talking about artists, and then they said, well, hey, have you heard of this guy Freddie Williams?
oh yeah, it was
We'd like
hilarious.
you to meet him. And we're like, Kevin's like, I gave one of his first jobs.
Yeah, I think it was the first professional company to hire him.
Oh, wow.
He had
Yeah.
riffs and some playing fantasy art, and
Yeah.
So we were like, of course, let's
Yeah.
talk to Freddie. But then we also found out, for instance, that Sophie Campbell,
Mm.
who's working on the IDW comics, she runs she found the game the same way I did. We have like the
Ah.
same origin story, and she's running a Heroes Unlimited game every week.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
we were talking to what's his name?
What, Cyril?
Ciro,
Yeah.
Ciro Nieli, who did the 2012 animated Turtles, the computer Turtles cartoon.
Sure.
And we found out that he was a huge fan.
Oh, my
He said
God.
he didn't have any friends to play with,
Yeah.
so he made like
200 characters.
yeah, he just kept making characters. And then we had a great chat with him, and he's like, so what do you guys need help with? And he was talking about how busy he was, in Hollywood. And then we're like, well, we're just hoping maybe you could do a tribute piece of art. And he was like, I'll do 2.
That's great.
So it's been really
Yeah.
amazing just talking to everybody and having them all jump in.
Well, the thing is, I think all these guys can tell how passionate Sean and I are about it.
Mm.
And they know that we're trying to do something that's truly special for all TMNT fans.
Yeah.
And so 10 minutes into any conversation, they're like, okay, I'm all in.
Sure.
And when they're all in, they're just kicking ass. It's the art we're getting is phenomenal.
Yeah, because everyone's got so much passion in it, and,
Mhm.
so that's and as an art director, one of the first things that someone will learn is when the artist is excited, if it's something that they enjoy,
you're
going to get better
best.
work. You get the best work,
course.
right? So with this, it's just they're pulling out, all these people are pulling out all the stops, these creatives, and it's really amazing. So
well, it's been fun for me because I knew the Turtles were beloved,
Sure.
and the Turtle fandom is awesome. Everyone is just amazing, nice people. But for me, it was an eye opener to just realize how much our game is known and how beloved it is among many Turtle fans. I knew we sold hundreds of thousands of copies, but
Mm.
what does that translate into? And person after person is, oh, I know the game, I love the game, I played the game, in some people's cases like Sophie, it's like I discovered the Turtles through your game.
Sure.
And it's like, holy cow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I wouldn't be talking to you today doing anything related to RPGs at all were it not for this game, the first game I ever bought, read, played, ran is TMNT and Other Strangeness. So
Right.
it's like, and a lot of, I mean, I do a lot of stuff for Dungeons and Dragons, so a lot of people think that that's where I got my start, but it's not. You know, I mean, I remember I was so worried that running this game that I wasn't going to do a good enough job that I was photocopying the pages and taping them into a notebook to be ready to quick reference because I was so worried that my friends weren't going to enjoy it. But you know, I have such, and like I said, I went on eBay. And I got this I don't know. I mean, this was years and years ago, but I got every single book, every After the Bomb and other thing. I got Ninjas and Super
Nice.
Spies, Heroes Unlimited. They had a handful of Rifter magazines mixed in there. I had a ton of stuff, and I was just overwhelmed at looking at all the different animals
Oh, it's so much, right? Yeah.
and you know, and trying to figure out like how can I come up with my own thing to incorporate every single one from every book so that people could have the full list. But you mentioned After the Bomb. You mentioned it first, not me. I want to make sure that I say that. So you brought it up. So obviously there was a lot of, even in, you know, back in the TMNT timeframe when After the Bomb was just a, you know, a supplement or a setting, so many other things generated from there, so many books. Is there a potential we might see if maybe stretch goals or a future Kickstarter to see some of that stuff make its way back? Do we think? I mean, you might not be able to talk about it, but I figured I'd
Oh,
ask.
well, After the Bomb is a completely separate IP.
Okay.
But yeah, if there's a demand for it, sure, we'll be happy to update the After the Bomb books and make them
Yeah, Sophie
available.
Campbell said that she'd be excited
Contribute.
to contribute. And that's hard to say no to.
Hmm.
And yeah, but at the same time, yeah, it is something different. So it's not part of this campaign.
Right.
And but at the same time, I mean, if those books are still out there, you know, After the Bomb second edition is great.
Hmm.
Yep.
And it collects it, for instance, it's really nice because it collects all the expansions, the
Hmm.
different animals into that book.
Yep.
So it's really easy to reference. So if anyone's interested, you can always go to
Yeah,
palladiumbooks.com
they're still
and pick
available
it up
from
right
us.
now.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
but and that, you know, that's obviously completely just like everything else in the Palladium Megaverse. It's all compatible if you
Sure.
want to crossover
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use this book to make mutant animals from Lone Star for your
For
Rift
riffs.
game,
Yeah.
right? If you
Sure.
want to, right? So, you know,
Or Phase World or any
keep
of that stuff.
keep your anthropomorphic animals or whatever you want to do, a whole race of anthropomorphic animals. But yeah, so there's a lot of potential there. But yeah, we're definitely listening.
Okay.
We listen to fans, you know, and
Yeah.
that's why this happened. I mean, this was one of those things where we're pushing hard on getting, you know, books and stuff out the door. But one of the big things that we always get asked is, what about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I want the classic game back.
Yeah.
Can you bring that back in print? Yes, apparently.
So, and again, I'll ask it. I don't know if you can comment on it or not, but it's a question that I did see brought up a bunch on the videos and stuff that I made. Obviously, I mean, I'm a tangible person. I need books in hand.
Right.
But a lot of people are asking, you know, we're in a digital world, we know this.
Right.
PDFs and stuff. Is there a reason? I mean, obviously, listen, I'm not going to mutant foil covers, red, black, and, you know, white. I'm all about it. I want them all. But I recognize that some people they're all about the digital.
Right.
Is there any reasoning or that you can give me as to why, or is that a thing that could possibly happen in the future?
I'll just say that in this case, you know, we don't want to get into the weeds too much about
Sure.
negotiations and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's not part of the deal we came to with our licensor. And
That's
so now we're taking notes, and I
mm,
don't know, you know, exactly what the future might bring
Yeah.
for other things we might do down the line. But for these books, there
mm,
will not be PDF versions. And the main thing here is we're really focused on the physical collector
sure.
retro, you know, redux aspect of it. So we're really focused on that, and there's a lot of different things that you know you can negotiate for or to take into consideration. So we really pushed hard on a lot of the physical aspects of
Yeah.
it, like the miniatures and the dice and
Yeah.
the
Sure.
card sets, which is a little delayed in final approval. But you know, we're really excited to be able to bring all these things to the table. We're really excited to have basically worldwide rights.
Mm,
So I mean, those are all coups, right? We're
Sure.
really trying to be able to
Yeah,
sell
the
these through
miniatures was a huge
distributors. I mean,
coup.
these are all selling through distributors. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that this is big. You know, this is
Yeah,
a
no,
really,
no.
really big multi-bajillion-dollar franchise. So
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, yeah. So we're really happy with what we've got, but we are taking notes for the future, and also at the same time, you know, trying to do our best to make sure we just build a really great relationship of trust with our licensors, which opens the doors for the future.
So to that point about distribution, right? We obviously know there's going to be kind of direct to consumer, as it were, for people backing the Kickstarter. But plans for the future, is this something I could go to my local comic book shop or game store in the future, or even maybe like a big box store and see at some point? Do we know?
Not the Kickstarter exclusives,
Right.
Okay.
not the special dice, not the miniatures, not the exclusive variant
So
books.
the variant covers, not the black, white, and red edition, because that's actually another edition,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So of the Redux edition, but the variant covers and the collectible foil covers, those are Kickstarter exclusives. The
Okay.
miniatures and all of the fan roll dice
Okay.
are Kickstarter exclusives. The Game Master screen, the mutagen green dice, and then the two core books, and then the black, white, and red
yeah.
you know, version of those will be available in you know,
From
for,
Palladium
from
and
Palladium
through
and through
distribution.
distribution.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
So
uh,
again, if you're looking for any of those things that were mentioned that are exclusive, you still have time left to back the Kickstarter. But if you want them, you know, they're here and then they're gone. So now's the time to definitely do so.
yeah, and to get in on that, I mean, the you can go in, you can back at the level for just one of the books, right? And then you can add,
Hmm.
most of the stuff is add-ons, unless you get up to like the foil covers and some of the other the other some of there are some things that are exclusive to different pledge levels.
Hmm.
So the art print sets, you know, as part of the negotiation, those are linked to some of the pledge levels. So we want to make sure that you know, fans understand that and can get in and get that. And another great thing is you get in on the pledge. You pledge during the Kickstarter campaign, you know, even $1 or for one of the books during the backer kit period,
Mm.
during our pledge manager stage before everything, you know, is sent off to print and we have final numbers we have to give them. We will be allowing people to upgrade their pledges. So
Okay.
getting in now can open that door in the future, and you won't be instead, if you don't pledge now, you will only be able to pre-order the stuff that's coming out to the general public,
Right.
right? So
Okay.
you'll miss out on those exclusives. So
Yeah.
get in now to get the exclusives. And then again, that's one of those things that this is how we're able to make these things happen.
And I
Sure.
want to point out that we're also going to be revealing more and more stuff during and after the Kickstarter for
Right.
those who are on the fence or not sure.
Yeah, some
Mhm.
people want to see, you know, all the mini, you know, all the mini sculpts and
And I
stuff
don't blame
before
them.
they
I would
buy,
want
right?
to.
And I
Sure.
totally get
Uh,
that.
Sure.
so, you know, if you're thinking, well, I'm gonna buy, you know, two of the books now, or I'm gonna get the green, you know, the foil green editions by Eastman and Laird, that's great. And then you can wait to see what the rest of the stuff looks like. And when you see how beautiful those minis are, oh baby.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that when we did, so our update number 2 we put out, we've got 3 out now, but the second update we did, we showed off the the blue line is what they call it, sketches
Mm.
that Kevin Eastman had done for the two collect, you know, the mutagen green foil edition covers, and a lot of fans immediately went and upgraded their pledge because they can now see, okay, that's what's going to be turned into the
The
foil
finish,
stamp
yeah.
for the finish. I'm in. We also introduced our miniature partners, Sculpting partners, Trans Perfect Gaming,
Mm.
and they're doing some great work. We were able to show off Casey Jones, and before he's not posed, he
Mhm.
doesn't have his weapons, but you can see the full turnaround for the mini. That has just been approved. We're working on getting because all these, you know, these updates do need to, and anything that's official on the Kickstarter, the official updates, the official Kickstarter page, all of that does have to go as an officially licensed product. It has to go through approvals. So some people are like, well, you're replying to us all the time in the comment section, but we're not getting a lot of updates. Well, is because there's different, levels of approvals we need. And so please be patient with that and understand we're doing our best to get the goods shown to you as fast as we can. So I know that's tough for some people that get really hooked, and they're
Sure.
checking refreshing the Kickstarter page every day, right? So just so that the fans understand that.
No, and well, to another switching gears from that, because I did go while we were talking and look at the Blue Line sketches, and they are phenomenal from Kevin.
It's just been
Yeah,
hilarious.
you can't. I mean, it's yeah, I listen. I mean, if you know, it's as a turtle fan, how could you not love something like this? But I did see that there are 5. We said that we talked about it a little bit. There are 5 new. I think it's 5 new mutant animals that are coming to the book.
Yes.
What was the process on picking those particular 5? Was there like a whole bunch, and we're like narrowing it down to these 5? Were these like, oh, we always had to have these? What was the process behind that?
But this is kind of funny because Sean and I were kind of spitballing it, and then
Yeah, so I was talking with our liaison at Paramount Nickelodeon, and he said, "Well, hey, let's ask Sophie Campbell, what she thinks." And so I was like, "Yeah, Sophie, and Sophie's such a huge fan. It's not like she had to go look something up. I mean, she immediately responded this, and this, and yeah. So we kind of, and I had some ideas that I had already thrown into the ring, but and Kevin had some ideas too, but once we got that, we're like, oh, those are really great choices. So I mean, and the thing is we didn't want to just pull some of the extra animals from After the Bomb,
Sure.
right?
We want something truly
original,
special. And so that's kind of how that came about. Just kind of like with the updated equipment section, it's just like, hey, we have an opportunity to add a little bit of meat here that I think people will really enjoy. Gee, what are some of those really cool things what are some really cool mutant animals to play?
Sure.
And that was basically our thought.
No, I was very curious because I have to imagine with the breadth of animals that have been made over the years, there's definitely, and I always, you always look through and I would always find like, oh, well, that's not in there. That's interesting. I thought that would have shown up somewhere. And no, but I mean, I'm very excited. It definitely covers a bunch of stuff that especially I think newer players too, or veterans alike, would be very curious to be able to play. Like, I mean, Penguin is in there. I feel like that's probably going to become a fan favorite. But then also being in a world where we have so much Turtles content now compared to where it was when it was created, Alligator Snapping Turtle makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? There's so much Gecko, obviously. All of these make a lot of sense with all of the different kind of turtles that iterations that have been out there. So yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I think we covered a lot of the questions that I had. And I mean, it's hard for me to just, there's so many things, so much Turtles love that's gone into this project that it's kind of just overloading my brain for more things to think about for questions and stuff to ask. But
I get it because it's so exciting.
Yeah.
So much cool stuff we're already providing.
Sure. No, and it's just like I said, it's nice to see something that obviously means a lot to a lot of people, and it's making a comeback. And we live in like a renaissance of role-playing games, right? They're more popular than they've ever been. More people are aware, right? You don't have to try to explain. It's like a board game, but there's not a board to people, right? You could just say what a role-playing game is and people know.
Yeah.
So this is very exciting to see now, to see it come back where it's going to just be picked up by a whole bunch of new fans. I'm excited to see. I imagine like something like Gen Con next year is going to be a wild time for you guys. So I'm very excited to see what comes next as well. So I think let's just get some statistics while we're here. There is still 11 days left, so not that much time, but
it's deceivingly short.
Yeah. So, but yes, over $800,000 raised in these past, 17, 18 or so days. So it's been, it's definitely, again, I plan to do more content on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff in the future. Maybe do some actual live play stuff with it because it's a lot of fun. So it's definitely worth people checking out for sure. And like I said, I'll have links to the Kickstarter. Is there anything else you guys would like to have people know or about, whether it's the Kickstarter, the project, the system in general, before we kind of wrap this up?
I guess I want to say that for Palladium fans in particular, this is just the beginning. This will give you an idea of what you can expect in the future from Palladium Books. This level of quality,
Mm.
transition to colored books, et cetera, et cetera. I also want to mention that we have a cool thing called the Christmas surprise package,
Mm.
and it's a great way to try our books. It's a great way to get After the Bomb titles.
Mm.
Um,
Or any of our titles.
or
Sure.
any of our titles. Yeah, rips any of it. And you can just go to our website, palladiumbooks.com, and check it out and see if it's something you'd be interested in. You get a great savings, you get autographs, and you get cool books you might not discover otherwise.
It's a fan favorite. A lot of times we have guys that'll or gals that'll put in their orders and then they get it back and they immediately order 2 more.
Oh yeah,
Because
yep.
you write like a 10 to 12, you write little letter to Santa, to Kevin, and he goes through and he looks at what and you're like, oh, and I also kind of interested in playing fantasy, or I'm kind of interested in this, or I play this, and then
yeah, I pick like $100 or so worth of stuff for your $60.
Okay.
And if you want autographs, all the
we sign
available
all of
people
it.
will sign it. And then you never know what you're getting. So it is a surprise
Fans do
package.
love it, yeah.
Sure.
Because out of that 10 or 15 titles, we're going to pick 4 or 5 or 6 and send them out to you. And it's a blast. And just to give you an idea how much fans love it, originally we started it as a one shot, just
Mm-hmm.
kind of a fun thing to do. This is the 25th year we're
Oh,
doing
wow.
Yeah, people love it. I think it's great. When I saw
No.
it, I was like, Kev, this is great, because we also get to hear from the fans, and we get, again, please, 1 page or less
Yeah.
on your letter. It can get
Brief-
tough if
brief
you write
comments,
2 or 3 pages. But it really is a great way to interact with the fans.
Yeah.
The thing I'd like to say about this is, I'm excited to be at Palladium Books. When Kevin asked me to join the company, he asked me to be his business partner, but also to help like refresh everything.
Yeah.
Let's charge into the future real strong. And this is I just want everybody to know that what we're working on, this is not just like a reprint. This
Mhm.
is full color. This is a whole new dynamic edition that is true to the classic roots. You've got as we've done and I've done in our recent books, you've got a rear index, you've got a really comprehensive table of contents.
Yeah.
Everything's really easy to find. You're going to see that we're putting in some additions for wayfinding, or I'm sorry, I use a graphic design term, but like tab notes, I think is good, is probably
Sure.
one of adding to the books, so you can see which section you're in and easily flip through it. A lot of things like that, and then it just all looks beautiful. And
Mhm.
I just want fans to understand this is your opportunity. I think you won't want to miss out on it.
Sure.
Especially the Kickstarter exclusive stuff.
Yeah.
I would dive in and get that if that's interesting to you, or if you're just a Turtles fan or know someone who's a Turtles fan. This stuff's going to be on the quality where you can put it on, just like The Last Ronin. You can put this on your coffee table. It's not just a comic book; it's a showpiece, right? And so same thing for this. It's not just a role-playing game, but it also is a great showpiece. And that's what you can look forward to from Palladium in the future. We're hard charging to do a lot of great stuff in the future. And again, this wouldn't be possible without the fans. We're excited for. I mean, we've had everybody from Screen Rant, comicbook.com, Forbes have all run articles on this.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can tell when you read the articles, they've played the game.
Definitely. Yeah.
And it was foundational for them too. So the authors too. So that's been really neat just to see it be the phenomenon that it's becoming. So we're super happy to be bringing this to the fans.
Yeah, no, it's it's coming up to the holiday season, right? This is a great, any Turtle fan, any RPG fan, or you get a wombo combo of both. Why not get this for them now? Back it, like you said, you can always adjust it later. If you say, hey, I got you this thing, and then they decide, oh wait, I really wish you would have got me this. Well, we can adjust it and get you
If
whatever you want.
Wait for that paycheck after Christmas, what I mean? You get through the New Year's, or you get your grandma money.
Yeah.
So and again, it just as the guy spearheading this and focusing on all this, with working with Kevin, he's wrangling all these great artists and cool people to be a part of it too. I mean, it's just a dream come true for me and for Kevin. So we appreciate everyone's support.
Yeah, well, thank you both so much for chatting with me for the past half an hour or so, or hour. And yeah, well, hopefully I'll have you back on, maybe in 11 to 12 days, and we'll see where we landed on the final number, and we can talk about what else has been unlocked. So
we're happy to come back anytime, Ted.
All right. Well, thank you both so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.